One afternoon some years ago, I was sitting in the park reading the afternoon paper when an elderly gentleman walked up and seated himself alongside me. Appearing to be in his late 60s, he was gray and balding. His shoulders drooped and he leaned on a cane as he walked. Little did I know that from that moment forward, the whole course of my life would change. It wasn't long before the two of us were engaged in a fascinating conversation. It turned out that the old man was a retired British Army officer who had also served in the diplomatic corps for the Crown. As a result, he had traveled at one time or another to virtually every corner of the globe. And Colonel Bradford, as I shall call him, though that is not his real name, held me spellbound with highly entertaining stories of his adventures. When we parted, we agreed to meet again, and before long a close friendship had developed between us. Frequently we got together at his place or mine for discussions and conversation that lasted late into the night. On one of these occasions, it became clear to me that there was something of importance that Colonel Bradford wanted to talk about, but for some reason he was reluctant to do so. I attempted to tactfully put him at ease, assuring him that if he wanted to tell me what was on his mind, I would keep it in strict confidence. Slowly at first, and then with increasing trust, he began to talk. While stationed in India some years ago, Colonel Bradford had from time to time come in contact with wandering natives from remote regions of the interior, and he had heard many fascinating stories of their life and customs. One strange tale that particularly caused his interest was repeated quite a number of times, and always by the natives of a particular district. Those from other districts seemed to never have heard of it. It concerned a group of lamas or Tibetan clerics who, according to this story, had discovered the secret of eternal youth. For thousands of years, this extraordinary knowledge had been handed down by members of this particular sect. And though they made no effort to conceal anything, the lamas were completely cut off from the outside world by vast, uninhabited mountain ranges. Their knowledge remained a secret known only to themselves. The monastery and its fountain of youth had become somewhat of a legend to the natives who spoke of it. They told stories of old men who mysteriously regained health, strength, and vigor after finding and entering the monastery. But no one seemed to know the exact location of this strange and marvelous place. Like so many other men, Colonel Bradford had become old at age 40, and since then had not been growing any younger. The more he heard of this miraculous fountain of youth, the more he became convinced that such a place actually existed. He began to gather information on directions, the character of the country, the climate, and other data that might help him locate the spot. And once this investigation had begun, the colonel became increasingly obsessed with a desire to find this fountain of youth. The desire, he told me, had become so irresistible, he had decided to return to India and search in earnest for this retreat and its secret of lasting youth. The colonel left, and years passed. In the press of everyday affairs, Colonel Bradford and his Shangri-La became dim in my memories. Then one evening, upon returning to my apartment, I found a letter in the colonel's own handwriting. I quickly opened it and read a message that appeared to have been written in joyous anticipation. The colonel said that in spite of frustrated delays and setbacks, he believed he was actually on the verge of finding the fountain of youth. He gave no return address, but I was relieved to at last know that the colonel was still alive. After many more months passed, I heard from him again. When a second letter finally arrived, and my hands almost trembled as I opened it. For a moment I couldn't believe its contents. The news was better than I could possibly have hoped. Not only had the colonel found the fountain of youth, he was bringing it back to the States with him, and would arrive sometime within the next 2 months. 4 years had elapsed since I had seen my old friend. I began to wonder how he might have changed in that period of time, as his fountain of youth enabled him to stop the clock at advancing age. Would he look as old as he did when I last saw him? Or would he appear only to be 1 year older instead of 4? Eventually the opportunity to answer these questions arrived. While I was at home one evening, the house phone rang unexpectedly. When I answered, the doorman announced, "Colonel Bradford is here to see you." A rush of excitement came over me as I responded, "Send him right up." Shortly the bell rang and I threw open the door. But to my disappointment, I saw before me not Colonel Bradford, but another man much younger. Noting my surprise, the stranger said, "Weren't you expecting me?" Then in a friendly voice he added, "I thought I would receive a more enthusiastic welcome. Look closely at my face. Do I need to introduce myself?" Confusion turned to bewilderment and then amazed disbelief as I stared at the figure before me. Slowly I realized that the features of his face did indeed resemble those of Colonel Bradford. But this man looked as the Colonel might have looked years ago in the prime of his life. Instead of a stooping, sallow old man with a cane, I saw a tall, straight figure. His face was robust, and he had a thick growth of dark hair with scarcely a trace of gray. "It is indeed I," said the Colonel, "and if you don't ask me inside, I'll think your manners badly lacking." In joyous relief, I embraced the Colonel, and unable to contain my excitement, I ushered him in under a barrage of questions. Wait, he protested good-naturedly. "Allow yourself to catch your breath, and I'll tell you everything that happened." And this he proceeded to do. As soon as he arrived in northern India, the Colonel started directly for the Tibetan frontier and the district where the fabled Fountain of Youth purportedly existed. Fortunately, he knew quite a bit about the native language, and he spent many months establishing contacts and befriending people. Then he spent many months before putting together the pieces of the puzzle. It was a long, slow process, but persistent, finally won him the coveted prize. "The first important thing I did after entering the monastery," said the Colonel, "was this. The body has 7 energy centers, which in English could be called chakras, or vortexes. They are powerful energy fields, invisible to the eye, but quite real nonetheless. These 7 vortexes govern the 7 ductless glands in the body's endocrine system, and the endocrine glands in turn regulate all the body's functions, including the process of healing. In a healthy body, each of these vortexes revolves at great speed, permitting vital energy, called prana, or etheric energy, to flow upward through the endocrine system. But if one or more of these vortexes begins to slow down, the flow of vital energy is inhibited or blocked, and that's another name for aging or ill health. These spinning vortexes extend outward from the flesh in a normal individual, but in old, weak, and sickly, they hardly reach the surface. The quickest way to retain youth, health, and vitality is to start these energy centers spinning normally again. There are 5 simple exercises that will accomplish that. Any one of them alone is helpful, but all 5 are required to get best results. These 5 exercises are not really exercises at all. The Lamas call them rites. So that is how I shall refer to them also, as the 5 rites. That's how we come to understand the nature of learning these 5 rites. You've each got a handout which shows this is all the Fountain of Youth. And right number 1, and I'll tell you how I learned this system, and I learned it some 20-some years ago, was that each of these, you start out doing only 1, 2, or 3, say 3, and do that number for, say, the first 3 or 4 days, and then add 1 gradually for the next 3 days until you eventually reach 21 in your set. But you can set the number anyhow you want. I want to demonstrate the first one. This is the one I've stayed most connected with all these years, and that's simply spinning. So basically, with hands out, you're going to have a chance to do this after I show. You're going to go basically around, I'd say just 3 times a start, but eventually you get up to where you can do 21 or however many you want to do. And this is essentially one of the greatest ways, if you're going to do only one exercise, this essentially is one of the greatest ways to, in a very short period of time, to keep your chakras in good order. There are 4 other rites, which we're going to get into.
That works on all the chakras.
This actually does all the chakras, but the other 5 rites are very crucial for enforcing this, getting rid of aging.
And you're not dizzy.
No, you don't.
But I'll show you something. John's been doing it for years. Here's something not be easy for new starters. You grab a point against the wall, focus a point, and you keep that mark. Point, turn.
Does it work the same if you're spotting?
That's it, spotting. Same thing.
I know. Does it work
Yes.
the same?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's okay to do that?
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just showing how you don't get dizzy.
Yeah. I didn't know if it worked the same.
Yeah, because you're just turning.
Yeah, because normally.
Turn. Just
But it's
keep,
nice-
do that just 3 times, to start with.
Uh-huh. So it's nice having a very small, and then only move to 4 after 3 is totally comfortable. So it's a total comfort process. So I'm going to.
Okay, guys, come on, let's have fun.
Yeah.
Okay, make room, make space, watch your drinks on the floor.
And I'm going to
Grab
be
a point.
reading.
Grab a point, and here's another mat. We're going to do some other points, but thank God it's carpeted. Here's a mat if somebody really needs for their knees, or put a sweater
We're
for your
gonna do the
knees.
spinning.
I know. I'm talking about the other ones. So grab a spot, you guys.
Where you hit somebody.
Find a spot on the wall. And then just turn, just do, turn.
You go clockwise?
Clockwise, only
Clockwise,
clockwise
uh-huh.
and with hands down.
And the clock is like on the floor.
Uh-huh, exactly.
And just start with 3. If you want to do more, it's okay, but keep your point so you don't get dizzy. And if you feel dizzy, stop.
You don't until you
So
stop.
dancers live longer then? Because they do this?
Say it again.
So dancers live longer because they do this?
Well,
Let's think of the, all of the guys. You're
it
great.
helps. It helps, yeah.
Kathy's a little spinner.
Yeah, good. Very good.
Went 7.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I did
3.
I think I did like.
Okay.
Great.
Good.
Awesome.
And then.
So that's right, number 1, you guys.
Yay, you guys
Yeah.
did great.
Yeah.
Now we're going to grab a spot on the floor. You can move the chairs. We're just going to go through 4 more really quick.
Let me
and
just
really-
unwrap this.
I couldn't have that. And then, sorry we didn't mention to bring mats or towels on our last flyer.
Think of that 2 people use, so.
And then does somebody want to use the mat?
Yeah.
2 mats for your knees, get a sweater or something. Oh, there we go, that's good.
She did. Yeah.
What do you use?
Oh, sure. This one's for Kathy.
Would you like this one? Okay, whatever you want to
You
do.
don't have anything on.
I love green and purple together.
Oh, good.
Making my night.
Who wants this
Awesome.
one? Who wants this mat?
Have you spun before? I mean, you really, have you spun?
Yeah, I dance. so-
Okay, I'll show.
Yeah.
There we go.
Spinning is a.
Unexperienced player.
Purple, purple.
Awesome.
Or me. Oh, you said you did the dervish turn. Same thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Good.
I'm here.
Okay, okay, great.
I think I.
And then here's another one. We're gonna go through these 4. So make space. And you got your booklet, you guys? You got your little handout?
I'm gonna show a
So
picture.
refer to the pictures. And I just printed out pretty much the picture. Not a lot of the content in order, just pretty much so you have the pictures to follow by later, okay? And
So
again,
on
you can
this
pull this
one-
on the internet.
I'm going to show the picture as we go. On this one, we're starting out lying on our back,
Uh-huh.
with our arms by the sides, legs straight out, legs straight out. Yeah.
Okay, so loud, John, go ahead.
Palms down. This one, you slowly breathe in, bringing your chin up to your chest. Slowly breathe in as you bring the chin up to the chest, and then continue to, at this point, then raise the legs straight up. Feet toward the
Very
ceiling.
good.
And then as you, hold that for a second, and then exhale as you go back to the starting position. That's number 1. And then just do this twice more. So you're raising the chin up to the chest as you breathe in, raising the legs up. Just hold for a second, then exhale as you let go, as you release. One more time. Chin up to the chest. Chin up to the chest. I know you can do it, Kathy. Legs up. Just breathe slightly, and then release. So that's right, number 2.
Let's do one more, 3.
No, that's 3. I
Yeah,
did
that's
3.
good.
They did
Okay.
3.
Okay, it's good to do a
That's-
demo and then 3.
Yeah. All right, number 3. I'm going to show a picture of this one. I'm going to just show you the picture there right there.
Everybody got a little picture?
So we're going to be on our knees with body facing up. Body upright, hands against the thighs.
Okay.
Slowly breathe in as you bring your chin to your chest. And then now arch your spine and backward, and your head backward, as far as you can go toward the back, comfortably. Just hold for a second and then come back to center as you breathe back out.
Okay.
That's-
So you hold your breath
That's-
all the way back.
Mhm.
And then
You're
let
breathing,
go.
yeah, you're breathing in as you go down, you're breathing in still as you go back, and then you hold for a second, and then you breathe out as you go back to center.
Oh, that feels good, yeah.
So here's,
Yeah, yeah.
here's the first one, here's the second one. Yeah.